What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another video. The Dallas Cowboys win. They win their Thanksgiving game. Thank you for making Thanksgiving good. They take down the Giants. They sweep the Giants. They beat them 28-20. They moved to 8-3. Let's talk about it.
On the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
Before we jump in, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And of course, it's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you, my great subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I really do appreciate it. I'm very thankful for each and every one of you, whether you come from TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter. A lot of platforms you can find me on, so thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed it, regardless of where this game was going. And it was kind of going in an interesting way in the first half, not gonna lie. I felt like the Cowboys, before I jump into that, it was a rough first half, but I did tweet that the Cowboys were going to be okay, because if you look at that first half, I really didn't get the sense, and I don't want to come off as prideful. I don't want to come off as one of those Cowboy fans. You know me, I'm unbiased, I'm realistic, but it just never seemed like the Giants were better than the Cowboys in any sense in that first half. They had to score. They were up 13-7. They did have that really one impressive drive for 95 yards against our defense, but besides that, I really felt like that first half was the Cowboys being undisciplined again, and it was so disappointing. And there was a very strong reaction, perhaps it was an overreaction from Cowboys Nation regarding that first half, because you come off a near perfect game against the Minnesota Vikings, and then you put together this very sloppy, undisciplined first half against a division opponent. Now I get the reaction. I was kind of in the same boat. I expected this team to be at least a little bit better, because not only was there 2 interceptions by Dak Prescott, the first one being miscommunication, so on and so forth. You can have that conversation down below. And the second one, just forcing a throw in there. But on top of that, penalties just kept extending drives for the Giants, and it kept shooting the Cowboys in the foot offensively in the red zone. Regardless, in my pregame prediction video, I told you guys that this game was going to be close, and that's just based on the fact that the Giants are 7-3. They're a good team. They're going to find a way to try to win this game, and that's what you kind of saw in the first half. Now, the team kind of fell apart, and it unraveled in the second half, kind of like I predicted, just because they couldn't sustain that. They couldn't last in this game. If they had an healthier offensive line, they may have been able to establish what they wanted to do, or at least continue what they were doing in the first half and carry it into the second half. But like I said, the Cowboys, they won this game in the second half, and they went away. They scored, 21 unanswered points, and I'm actually really mad because Brett Maher, even though he's having an incredible season, I had predicted this game. I had this game down to a T, but because Brett Maher missed that field goal, instead of it being 31-20 like I predicted, it was 28-20. That was the final score. But regardless, the Cowboys win. They go to 8-3, and they finally win on Thanksgiving, guys. It was such a good day with my family, food, all that good stuff. And it's always great seeing the Cowboys. And oh my gosh, they looked incredible in these throwback uniforms. They looked incredible. They just pulled it off. It was incredible. I can't believe it's been 11 years since we've seen them in these throwback uniforms. I get that you can't really wear them outside of Thanksgiving, but I hope it's a tradition again. I don't know why we got away from it. I know it kind of involved the NFL helmets and stuff like that, but this needs to be a tradition again. They just look really good, and I'm really glad they got the win, because if you look at last year, we actually dropped the Thanksgiving game to the Raiders in overtime, and we dropped down to 7-4, and we were on a losing streak after losing to the Chiefs and then losing to the Raiders on Thanksgiving. This is kind of a different taste of the season, because now we're 8-3, and we're going into a very, I don't want to say easy. I want to be careful with the word easy, because it's the NFL. Anything can happen, and I'm sure one of those teams are going to surprise us here, not with a loss or anything like that, but they're just going to be competitive. But a lesser talented team, it's the politically correct answer, in the next 3 weeks. We're playing the Colts, we're playing the Jaguars, we're playing the Texans. I don't think it's in that order. I think it's actually the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars, or just swap any of those things around. But the Cowboys have the ability here to go 11-3, to go on a strong run. And here's the thing with this game. The stats look really good, all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing that I saw in this game is the Cowboys are definitely their biggest enemy. If you don't have the penalties, if you don't have the turnovers, if you're not forcing things, if you're play calling correctly, this game's nowhere near as close as it was in the first quarter. I mean, we're talking maybe a blowout. We're talking maybe 10 points, 7 points that the Giants scored, and the Cowboys are up in the 30s, possibly the 40s, throwing down another 40-burger. But the Cowboys are definitely the team standing in their way here. Penalties, if we look at the stats here with the team stats, I want to say that the penalties was 13. That's just crazy that we were able to still win a game with 13 penalties. Usually 13 penalties will hurt you against a better team. Like I said, I don't think the Giants are a bad team. I don't think they're in a category, like other bad teams that we associate ourselves with. But I think obviously their injuries caught up to them and they weren't, as good or as solid as they have been in that stretch where they were winning games. But 13 penalties is something that's going to hurt you. And that's something that the Cowboys have to be mindful of, especially when they're playing a playoff game. That's the amount of penalties that the Cowboys had against the San Francisco 49ers, and that cost them so much. So what happens when you're playing a better team than the Giants or the Vikings? What happens when you're committing that amount of penalties and it's more, and they're capitalizing on your turnovers and your penalties, and they're just not kicking field goals or going 3 and out. They're converting and turning it into touchdowns, and now you have to dig out of that. Now the Cowboys, they have a lot of talent, and they possibly can, but the ceiling is set for them. That Minnesota Vikings Dallas Cowboys game, that's their ceiling. And now it's a good and bad thing, because we know this team is really good and they can be that good against a really good team like the Minnesota Vikings. But it's also bad because every game that's going to come short of that, we're always going to measure that, because we've seen it now. We know what this team is capable of. And when they are not succeeding at that level, like you saw in this first half, you're going to get a strong overreaction. And some of it's justified and some of it's not going to be. But yeah, the Cowboys did get a win as they were supposed to, and they ran away with it in the second half. They threw the ball 30 times, which you guys know is like the mark that I always want to hit. And they ran the ball 34 times. Zeke had a great game, 16 carries, 92 yards, a touchdown. Tony Pollard had 18 carries, 60 yards, and CeeDee Lamb, 8 receptions for 106 yards. I had predicted he was going to go over 100. I thought he was going to get 2 touchdowns. He got no touchdowns, except you could argue that he got 1 touchdown. But overall, good game. I'm just happy the Cowboys won. They found a way to win. It was a terrible first half, but they found their way to win. My only note is they cannot do that in the playoffs. They cannot do that against good teams, because we've seen them do that. They got to be better in that area. I'm just going to blame it on the short trip around from being in Minnesota to coming back home. That quick turnaround can affect you. I'm going to blame it on that. I just don't have any other explanation behind it besides maybe coaching. But other than that, that's it for the video. I'm going to go back to enjoying my Thanksgiving. You guys comment down your reaction below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys here in the next few weeks. I'm going to create a video revisiting my season prediction, but I will see you guys then. Follow me on all my social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and I'll see you guys next time. Go Cowboys.
Down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.